Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 674. Today is December 20th, 2023. Good morning. Today on the show, we've got a special co-host, and my guest. We got Tony Foster, who is my co-host. And then we have Franky, and I don't want to say Franky's last name either, because I'm not going to say last names anymore. It is December 20th. We're in a cheery mood today. It's a holiday show. We're going to be talking about home labs and the 12 days of holiday season that we put together a blog to talk about interesting stuff you can do with your home lab. So Franky has authored that. Franky, we're going to get to you in a second, but Tony Foster, welcome to being a co-host today. I will ask you what's going on there in Kansas City, and how's the weather and what's new?
Thanks. So it's actually really nice here today, around 55 degrees. We're preparing for rain and stuff to come in, but it's still not going to put a damper on all of the festivities and stuff going on with everybody here in the Midwest. That leads me to a question for you, Eric. What's the color of the bay?
Oh, let me tell you, yeah, we've got some Christmas weather now happening. It is rainy and cold, so the color of the bay is dark green. The storm has come through. We've had about 4 days of rain in the Bay Area. Good to got a lot of wetness going. It's been moderately dry, but we've had a couple other storms, and we've got a little bit of sunshine coming up for the Christmas holiday, and then we're back at another storm coming through. So the pipeline of storms coming through, and of course they blow east. So you'll get to see this one come through in a few more days, and then another one comes through in a few more days. So it's cloudy, chilly. I'm on campus in the podcast studio for another show here. So it's fun to be back on campus as always, and life goes on. Franky, welcome to the show. I think this is maybe your first or second show. I can't remember one, but as always, we always ask people. Tell us a little bit about your career arc. What do you do at VMware, and how did you get here from your career?
Thank you very much. Yes, I started my IT career a little over a decade ago. Yeah, it's a little over a decade ago. I started out at the help desk. I went from working in casinos, as a barback, as a bellman, front desk, and moved over to IT when we moved to Washington. I became an engineer, architect, and then landed on the community team here at VMware. Yeah, so I help out with the blogs and just anything that the team needs, really. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been great to have you on the team for sure. We've needed a technical resource for a while. Corey was our main technical guy for a lot of years. I'm fairly technical. So when we brought you in, we wanted somebody that had worked out using vSphere out in the community, at a customer, bring that skill set in. And at the same time, we've got all the social channels and community platforms and blog platforms, the StreamYard platform, dynamic signal platform. All these channels need to be managed and kept up and running, and some of them are SaaS services, but it's great to have you on the team because you're our go-to guy when it comes to keeping all the channels running, keeping the Blogger program running. WordPress in itself, if you've ever run WordPress, you know how many security hacks you get on that every day. Plugins need to be monitored, plugins have to be tested. So it's been fun to have you on the team. And now as we head into Broadcom, there's all the platform choices that have to be converted. We've been doing community chorus platform. We locked down the VMTN for the last 2 days to get a snapshot of the DB, which is massive, right? Because, Broadcom wants to figure out what to do with that. They run on a platform called Higher Logic. But anyway, all this platform stuff is why you're here. So it's great to have somebody that worked at customers, running, cloud-based services for the multi-cloud. We thought was interesting. So great to have you on the team, and also great to have you on the show. So getting here, you touched on it. What are you allowed to say? What customer you worked at when you were doing cloud architecture stuff?
So when I was an engineer, I don't know if I'm allowed to say or not. I guess it's on my LinkedIn, so it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yes, you're
So
okay. Yeah.
yeah, so I was at Sanmar, and they were in the promotional products industry. So we sold like blank shirts and blank bags, things that you would get at the big events, right, conferences. And when I became an architect, I moved over to a VAR. It was a local VAR here in the Pacific Northwest. Um, yeah, and then I was laid off from there. Yeah,
Well,
and that's how
yeah,
we ended up here.
we don't know
Yeah.
why you left or anything. We don't need to know that. But I was just curious who you work for, what you did, right? Like,
Yeah,
so that's kind of cool.
yeah.
Tony Foster, before we get into the show, I believe the VExpert apps are still open, right? And pros are still getting people to write their apps, right?
Absolutely. The VExpert apps are open and they're open into January. So you have time, especially if you have vacation coming up. It's a great opportunity to get those applications in. One other thing I'm going to mention is the EUC VExpert program. There's been a little bit of a split there, and applications for that program are also open now. So if you find yourself doing a lot of EUC work and are interested in that, that is another application that you can go explore.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. Well, I know that as we transition into Broadcom, and we talk about this every the show, like there are tasks going on for Broadcom now that we're going, but the VExpert program is live and well, very healthy, and the BUs, even though they've consolidated, we think that the products themselves will still have all the subgroups. So even though there's VCF, the BU, all of this vSAN, NSX, and vSphere all collapsed into VCF, an org, what the Broadcom calls divisions. We're still going to have the VExpert programs along the product side, and even they've announced that the EUC stuff might spin off. The VExpert program for EUC will continue on, even if
Yes.
they spin off to another company. We expect to still interact with that company, and we've been interacting with the team that's over there. So healthy as well, and continuing moving on. So we're excited about that, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's it for from the Broadcom news. Everything is kind of settling down. Now we're going into the Christmas holiday, so things are getting quiet as Broadcom does take the week off after the holiday as well. So expecting to have everybody come back the second week in January. We'll do a podcast. Don't think we're going to do a podcast the first week of January because I think January 3rd is a Wednesday, and everybody's going to be too hungover from the new actually to do a podcast. So excited about that. We got a cool barbecue report. I got some fun stuff to talk about at the end of the show. So that should be fun as well. I'm thinking if there's any other news. Matt Lungeth is out at a customer, so he can't be with us. Corey Romero is, got some dental work that he's doing right now as we speak, so he couldn't be here. So Tony, thanks for being on the show and taking us through the holiday break. On the show today, we are going to be talking about what it means for Home Lab. We've got a Home Lab Advantage discount program going on right now, so you can get your Home Lab from VMUG Advantage. I think it's a couple $100 a year. They auto renew, so if you get on it, right, then you're kind of feeding base voltage to the VMUG community from a budget perspective. That's the way that they get about 50% of their budget is VMUG Advantage licenses, which gets you all the licenses to our current products. vSphere, vSAN, NSX, and EUC. All those licenses are bundled up in the VMUG Advantage program. Also a discount for Explorer US and Europe and APJ, so you can use your discount code. And I think you save over $200 on any kind of Explorer pass. So one, you get all the licenses for your Home Lab. Two, you get Explorer pass discount. And then 3, I think there's like 2 or 3 other features when you talk about Advantage. So we're big on Advantage, but also because it auto renews for you, it's a couple $100. Hopefully you can expense it to your company, and then you're supporting the community, right? And VMUG runs, meetings all over the globe, right? I think there are 180 different chapters of VMUG chapters that go on, and that helps the user cons. It helps the chapter budget. It helps keep the whole institution alive. So I would strongly recommend everybody go spend time setting up a home lab, get some Advantage licenses from that program. You're helping community, and also you're just keeping your skills fresh, because there's always something new to test out in a home lab that you can't necessarily do at work in a production environment. So there you go. So Franky, you've done a blog. Let's talk about what you've got going on. We'll talk about the URL for the 12 Days of Christmas blog, and maybe you can just take us through what's going on in the 12 days.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. So with the 12 days, the way I wanted to attack it was definitely teaching people. Let's all learn something. I don't want to give you something fluffy and just something cute to look at. So it takes you from it depends, right? It all depends in IT. If you want, it depends on your use case and how much money you have actually, right? How much money you want to put into this. So yeah, I think day one is taking a look at a video from a vExpert, and they walk you through those questions, right, to help you answer. And day two, you can deploy an ESXi within an ESXi, so like an embedded lab. And I remember doing that at work because yes, I used to be, I learned the hard way. I used to love to shoot from the hip, and you can't do that in production. And we kind of didn't really have a test environment, so I wanted to learn, how to automate things. And then that's how I got started. I had this little tower off to the side, and I installed ESXi on it. So I was like, what do I do with this now? And so then I installed ESXi again within it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And yeah, then I took a snapshot of it, and I was like, perfect, I can break this, and then I can rebuild it. And yeah, right, just testing so you don't break things in production cost the company millions. So that was the basis for this, right? And then as the days go on, yeah, it gets progressively harder, and it culminates with the BCF holodeck deployment. And that one I definitely left till day 12, because the hardware requirements are so big on that one. And yeah, not everybody may be able to deploy that one, and if you can, oh my gosh, such an awesome project. Yeah, we recently had over in the vExperts, we recently had an internal group present that to the vExperts and showed it off, and it was just awesome. It was so cool. I don't have the hardware to run that, but yes, one day maybe I will.
So let's talk about the first 3 days. What are the first 3 days? Can you summarize the first 3 or 4 days of the 12 days? As he goes to look at his own blog article to see like what exactly he put in the blog article.
Yes, I don't want to lie. I don't want to get things wrong. Yeah, so definitely number one, right? So Matt Mancini is definitely somebody that I've learned from. He works here at VMware. He's a vExpert. And so yes, again, right, just to get you on the right track. And then day two is deploying the nested home lab, ESXi within ESXi. And then number three is deploying your home lab with workstation Windows. Those are days 1 through 3. Just get you up and running.
Right. So okay. So I should be able to get ESX up and running, get some VMs up and running. Day one was go follow somebody. What was day one task?
No. So day one, right? Yeah, day one. And again, I do recognize that some people possibly reading this blog or listening to this podcast, right? They know way more than I do. But on the flip side, maybe they don't, right? Maybe they're just getting started. and they Googled, right, while watching YouTube videos, and they ran into something that says VMware, and like, oh, what is this? This is in the news. I'm like, how do I get started, right? And that's what the day one video is for,
All
right?
right. So
Just to get you a little bit more familiar.
go watch a video. Got it. Now, in day one, does it say if stupid, watch this video, if somewhat smart, continue to step 2, if super smart, go to vcdx181.com and, go look at how he did his lab, and then, go spend the next 30 days doing his stuff, right? Is that do you have like a logic diagram in there so that we know where to end up?
So so it does go right. You can pick. It's like Baskin Robbins in here too. The blog post. So all the days are in there. And yes, day one. If you click on the main link, it will send you over to the YouTube video. But there are also links right beneath. And yes, so Mark Hubert,
Yeah.
his blog's in there. Yes, and
Nice.
if you click on his blog, right, or the link that's applied there, it walks you through, and yes, you can go on, right, if say you are advanced, and
Right.
or even if you're not, right, if you want to jump ahead, there's nothing stopping you.
Now, does it tell you, I'm just curious, like, does it give you the ability to search eBay to find used, network gear or storage gear? Because that's my problem. I get ESX up and running, no problem. But then when I have to go get storage to get vSAN going, or I got to get network fabric for NSX, it's like, no, it gets harder. Does your 12 days of Christmas address this challenge?
It will now. It
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
will. Yeah.
No, the answer is no, it doesn't. Because that's what I was talking to VMUG about. Is like, you know what? We need a hardware exchange or a hardware exchange list, right? Because I know a
Ooh,
lot
yeah.
of guys have already done this, right? And like now they kind of want to upgrade, but like, I put $800 or $1,000 or $2,000 into some network gear, right? And I'm ready to move on and build a second piece or just do something fun. And it would be nice to have like a website that you could just go list, V share or something like that, or V gear or something that allows you to, maybe we'll ask Martin to build that on the vExpert portal, like just a place that I could go post my old gear and, put a price on it, like, $30 or $100 or $300, or I'll donate it if somebody really wants it and can't afford it or something like that. Right. Like, or, I'll put it up there, but you got to buy me a dinner at VMworld if I ship it to you, or I don't know, some way of just having a community share ecosystem. Like in the old days when we were talking about Broadcom, we're moving into these offices, and Broadcom doesn't have any snacks in their break rooms. They give you coffee and water, and I think they have some milk for the coffee, but that's it. So back in the old days when we were VMware, pre-IPO, I had a community food area, and I would go down to Costco and I'd just buy like, a couple $100 worth of everything, right? Nuts, crackers, pumpkin seeds, whatever. And I just come up and put them in, I'd stock the break room. And then it just had a little canister that said, the prices and, the coin slots. So you would just basically put $1 in the canister, and then you could get a couple things. And they were just all at cost, right? So that you could then, share, you could get a snack, right, without having to buy from their vending machine, or just not have any snacks. So it's kind of cool. And I feel like there's a version of that for the old hardware. Like it would be fun to have a place that I could, somebody's done using a storage unit and upgrade. Like I got a storage unit over here in the podcast studio that we used for a while, a NetApp storage unit that, we use. And like, I'm not using it anymore, but it's like, yeah, I could put that up online. Somebody wants to go grab it, right? Or at least, and also have just a list of like, what's the entry level device I can get that would run vSAN that I need for storage, right? Like how much storage do I need? Maybe I just need to go buy a, SSD with X amount of capacity, hook it up. Maybe I need a network attached storage device. Where are some lists? It would be fun to have that. So I've talked to VMUG about doing that for 2024, some of the things, because then you could go to VMUG meetings and share it, right? Like, oh, I'm going to be at VMUG XYZ. I'll come and, I'll bring that to you. You can come pick it up, right? It would be fun to do something like that. So I think we're going to try to do that over the 2024 time, which is have kind of some home lab sessions going on at the user cons, and home lab kind of way to share, right? So that you could show up to a VMUG user group meeting and talk about, oh, I should go get that from Eric. He posted it on the share site. So that it would be kind of fun to just have. And I don't know, I look at like why I think VMware is super popular even to this day is it's a way to build machines, right? And in the old days, we used to go down to Fry's and buy the x86 CPUs and motherboards and, build our own custom gear. Every year I'd be building another custom gear, and that kind of has gone out of fashion. But what has gone into fashion is just building virtual machines, right? And having a whole virtual environment that you can spin up machines anytime you want, right? And then, how do you set it up so that I can put it on the internet and, have VMs exposed and have the networking and have the security and have that whole thing so that you can have your own home lab so that you can eventually run on a Plex server and share illegal movies or whatever the heck you're going to do with, stuff like that. Tony, do you do any home lab stuff, and do you have any use cases that are worth sharing?
Oh, absolutely. I actually have a fairly large home lab sitting off to my left-hand side of me with a couple of walls in between. I've got a Vertex system and a bunch of rack mount servers and a bunch of SAN and a Synology and up to 40 gig switching. So it's there, and I absolutely love the idea of being able to send the old stuff out to give it new life. That's just an exciting thing for 2024.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be fun, and there's also, I don't know, in this space of, do you ever, for fun, I do this sometimes, boot up old gear just to see if you can make it work, right?
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
it's kind of like old video games. Every once in a while I do it. And sometimes I'll just boot up old shit just to see what I actually left sitting around. And it's like digging through an archive of the old dump or something where you're looking at all this stuff going, oh, I remember when I did that. Oh, there's this old stuff I set up. Yeah, it's okay. I got that booted. I got it running. And I run it for a day or two. I play an old game or whatever I had on it. And then I shut it down because I'm like, okay, that was fun. But then I don't throw it away because I'm like, I don't want to throw it away yet. I'll keep it. Like, yeah.
Yes, I've done that with 486s before, and then reminisce about how slow they were to boot up and how thankful I am for virtualization and being able to move much quicker than the 486s.
So, Franky, you mentioned, I know we got a late start, so we're going to run over. But you mentioned the 10 where it was, what did you call it again? There were the 12 days of Christmas, the hardest one. What did you call the last lab that's possible? Because I didn't recognize that, so I'm going to have to now ask you what the heck that is.
Yes, yeah, bro. Deploying VCF with holodeck. Yeah, so
what is that?
Yeah, so VCF. I'm sure people are familiar with VCF, but holodeck is a tool that they came out with, and I believe it's a toolkit actually that VMware came out with, and you can deploy it all in one, right? Like all in one go. You know how William Lamb has like his single touch scripts to deploy environments. That's almost the same thing for VCF. And so they give you a little GUI, but yeah, it deploys all the VMs that are needed. It configures your all the networking. There's just a ton going on in there. Yeah, there was a ton. I must admit I did not sit through the entire video. I looked at the requirements. I saw that I didn't have that. So man, it's a great idea. I can't do it. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's an entire VCF environment. Yeah, that you can
So
start
does
with.
it ask you, it must boot up and ask you, where's your network attached storage? Where's your network gear? What's your switch? And then it just goes, if you set up the gear properly, then it just goes and, creates it all and builds it for you.
Yes, yeah. From what I was seeing, it's just like all you need is your ESXi to point it at it, and then yes, yeah, it will ask you certain little questions, yeah, to deploy the script.
Nice. So yeah, then you got heavy duty. I'm sure it's not like VCDX's where he's got a whole backup network, with backup gear that ends up being his offsite backup at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Security, the whole thing, right? Like it's impressive to go watch what he's built, and he's got blog articles to take you through that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. And I think the only thing that you don't get from the VMUG Advantage license suite is just, I don't think you get cloud licenses. So if you're trying to run ARIA or vRealize Automation, vRealize suite in the cloud, or now we call ARIA in the cloud, I don't think you get cloud licenses with this stuff. You get on-prem licenses for home labs. But when you want to go connect it into cloud services, that's where it kind of falls down, right? You almost can't do that anymore, right? So you can go to all the local prem stuff, which luckily for us, Broadcom likes to focus on, the data center and, on-prem stuff. So I think a lot of the features we're going to see are going to be very focused on on-prem. I think they're still doing lots of cloud interaction, but I think there will be plenty of things to spend time learning that are going to be local installed components, right? So I think that'll work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and one of the use case that I had with the home lab when I was starting is I like security. I like to try and break into things, right? I'm sure a lot of people do, so, like either hardware or virtual or physical penetration testing, um, and that's what I like to do with my lab. So I spin up, I'll install Kali or an Ubuntu and install some security software in there, and then try to do stuff, right? Yeah, and then if it doesn't work, then or if I see that something's going wrong, there you go. All I can do is delete it, and there you go. Act like nothing happened. I love it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It would be interesting to put a WordPress out there, and see how long it takes before all your PHP files are corrupted, right? Because that one's impossible to keep secure. Working with Broadcom, and all their blogs are running on WordPress, and they're like, "You're running this on WordPress?" And we're like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh God," they love what we got. They really love the whole implementation, but they're like, "Oh my gosh, how do you keep it secure? How do you?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, we don't put any extra plugins in." So it's like kind of cool to have like some instances of different OSs and different apps sitting, and then just see how secure they are. Like, do they stay secure? Even if you had Log Insight or some other thing running, to just watch your logs and see what's actually happening with them. It'd be interesting. Tony, do you connect any of your lab out to the internet, to the cloud, or do you just keep it isolated?
So most of mine's isolated. I'm actually getting ready to put some out on the internet. I'm getting ready to actually put a EUC instance out for external access into my home lab, because I have some stuff that I'm collaborating with a few different people on, and they're like, "We need into your system so that we can look at this," and I'm like, I don't think I want to give you full access into my home network, even though it's VLAN up. Let me just give you a desktop where you can come in, and I can keep that desktop just on my lab network VLAN. Um,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm working on, or at least part of what I'm working on with the winter break, is getting that set up so that I can actually have people collaborate on my network. So it's going to be real fun to have that set up. And again, that ties back to those VMUG Advantage licenses you get. I'm a big fan of the VMUG Advantage. So not only am I a vExpert, but I'm also a VMUG Advantage member, and I get the EUC licenses, the Horizon licenses and stuff, so I can actually build out those different desktops and be able to have that experience outside of a work environment. It's also really awesome when you need burner machines um, for different things, like messing with the fake tech support people who uh, tell you that they need to fix your Windows because it's spewing viruses. Real interesting what they say when they find out you're running a Linux desktop trying to follow their commands.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, there's always fun little things like that to do. If you're really bored, I don't seem to have enough time to spend all that much time doing that kind of stuff. But it is fun to watch YouTubers that do it, right? Because I think they make a
Oh,
living at it.
yes,
Right? No question.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually am running vSphere in my home lab environment. I have an AWS instance, and I've actually got AWS so that I can actually, not VMC and AWS, just the AWS instances that I'm running things, but I can actually get it down to like $100 to $200 a month, right? So where I'm getting into is like, how much am I willing, kind of like VCDX 181, Mark, he does spend X amount of dollars per year on his power bill, right? $500 a month or some bigger number. Now he runs demos and does all kind of things, but it's one of these things where you got to allocate, like, how much am I going to spend of my own personal money, right? Either power bill or AWS bill in order to, learn and have, just be able to run EC2 instances, right? And learn how it works and then connect it. And I'm almost at the point now where I want to actually do some connectivity between my AWS instances that are running some light workloads and my home vSphere environment that I actually have VMs running, light workloads. So I'm starting down that journey now, which I haven't figured out when we talk about vMug and Home Advantage and Home Lab, how to convince people to do some of that, right, on their own dime, I guess, because it's pretty hard to get VMware to give you any VMC and AWS billing. They'll sometimes go, oh, we'll give you a $200 coupon, or we'll give you $500, but then when you're running VMC, they were going to charge you per amount of consumption, but they haven't got there yet. So VMC and AWS, they were gonna the VCF team before Broadcom acquisition was looking at how to do fixed based billing. They would, you could spend X amount of dollars depending on how much consumption. VMC and AWS right now, they charge you for a little mini data center, and it's going to be $800 a month, best case. And it's like, yeah, that's over my, 10 times 10, that's 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. That's Mark Hubert level. And I'm not that wealthy, right? I'm a marketing guy. So maybe not, but I am looking at like, okay, how to do those connections, how to do that for vMug so that you have your home lab and then you can get a taste of connecting it to the cloud services as well. And we've actually talked to Microsoft and IBM and Amazon about having them fund it, right? So that we could, because they do sponsor vMug, user cons. The vMug org out of Tennessee actually does get sponsorship from the cloud providers to go to user cons and do presentations along these topics of how to integrate your vSphere environments into their cloud environments. So there is some room for that. So that's one of the things I'm trying to figure out is how to do that. And Franky, I don't suppose you've gotten to this point yet either, but I think that's one of the interesting things. Now with Broadcom, I'm not sure how much multi-cloud is in the front and center. I think it's like a feature to them, but not necessarily go crazy. Other question for you, Franky, did you look at Tanzu at all? I know last year we did 12 days of Tanzu, and I think there's still a blog article out there on, how to get Tanzu up and running in a home lab environment. And I don't know if we should probably tweet that out as well and say, extra credit, go back and maybe we make the 15th day of Christmas, go read the Getting Started with Tanzu article, one from last year as well. I think that might be fun. Do you guys have anything with regards to running Kubernetes in a home environment?
So that is day 9, actually. Yeah, day 9 actually. I was looking at the Tanzu Community Edition, and that was going to be a day, but they actually got rid of the Community Edition.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, oh man, well, but yes, I found right. Yeah. So I worked with Corey to get the RSS feeds, and we plugged them into this tool online. And that's actually how I found a lot of these resources, just searching through those feeds from vExperts and the affiliate blogs, right on blogs.vmware.com. And Go Watanabe, he has a blog article, right, that walks you through his process of installing and setting up Tanzu. But yes, there is also a call out and a link to 12 days to Kubernetes, right underneath there as well. Yeah, so definitely, yeah.
What does he do for getting Kubernetes? Does he have to? Do they even have a Kubernetes license in part of Advantage now? I don't know if they do that or not, or whether it was free or some other thing. I remember we worked with them to look at how to do that, right? Like, and I don't know how you actually go get Tanzu, because I know the community edition, they stopped supporting it. But I think there is some other way to get Tanzu for free now, right? Like that exists, right? Like I don't think you have to buy it.
I am not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I see his. Yeah. I'm looking at the blog right now. I'm seeing at the way he installed. Yeah, he installed, set it up, but I don't see anywhere to put a license. So maybe that was before.
Right,
Yeah,
and it
I'm
might
not.
just be that we give you a license as part of the Advantage program, like you do get that in there. I would have to go look at the vExpert one to see, but I believe there is a way to do it. We just stopped pointing you at the community edition now, so I have a feeling he just points you at a way to go get Tanzu as part of vSphere, right, or some other way, right? There's one of the enterprise things that we give you a license for will get you there, so you can go get Tanzu up and running and experience that fun. Right. No
Yeah,
question.
definitely. When back in ESXi 6.0, when that first came out, VMware also came out with vSphere Vic, right? That was their I think their entry into Kubernetes and containers. And so I remember walking downstairs when I worked as a customer, and I looked at all the servers that were powered off, and those servers had red stickers on them. So then I came back upstairs and like, hey, what's going on with all these servers downstairs? Can I have a couple? And yes, I ended up with 2 HP blades, and perfect. I installed ESXi 6.0, and yeah, deployed vSphere Vic on there, right? Just to get my hands dirty and my hands clean, right? Again, the business understood that at the end of the day, I was helping the business, and I didn't need to purchase that equipment too. So that's another way to try and get VMUG Advantage and try to get work to pay for it, right? Even if you're not running stuff in production yet, right? You want to build a POC. You want to play with things like this, right? And just show off all that goodness with what they
Right.
have. Mhm.
I also remember, and I think this is still in the Modern Apps group, that we had Bitnami, right? Integrated into ARIA somewhere. There was a ability to go get VMD pre-bundled VMDKs that'll come up and install, and then get workloads that run on top of those, right? Whether it be WordPress or Apache or Nginx or whatever other things you want. I think there was ways to get pre-packaged VM workloads also there, right? Which is relatively easy to get up and running as well. So then if you want to just, because once you get a VM, what are you going to do with it, right? Like what are the fun things you can do? And I joke about a Plex server because I'm always looking for good Plex servers, to go watch movies. I think I watched the Taylor Swift concert the day that it was released, because somebody on a Plex server somewhere that I have that I've got connected into my Plex environment actually had it running. So I was able to go do that, right? So but those are kind of fun, but there've been other ones that are fun, right? WordPress is always easy because they're bundled up and they're fun, and then you can just watch how many days it takes before they get hacked, right? So there's always that. I don't know if there are any other fun workloads that are kind of fun to run. I mean, why we're doing it is actually just to learn how to set up the network and set up security, and make sure that you're doing that. And I assume that some of you guys have workloads that come from work, right? That you could, if you work, you could bring home some workload from work and run it in your own home environment so that you can break it, right? So I don't know if there's other things. And then as we've been now live streaming for 38 minutes or 39, crossing that threshold, Franky, I always ask, like, so when we're talking about home labs, right? I've talked about VMUG, Advantage, and the auto renewal that's coming for next year, and I think they're doing a price increase of like $5 or something like that. That's coming, so that's coming up. So there's stuff, and then I talked about maybe doing some home lab Advantage meetups, right? And getting a place that we can do some hardware swapping, right? That might be fun. That's maybe altruistic. I always invent these kind of crazy things that I like to do. We'll see if we can host them anywhere inside of the Broadcom infrastructure, or whether we have to go put all this stuff on VMUG now, right? It's going to be interesting to see how easy it is to get things spun up here. Any other things that are interesting that you're thinking about for next year, right? And this is kind of like, what do you see 2024 in your mind getting that makes you excited?
Yeah, so one thing I'm excited for is definitely I'm focused on the 4 pillars, right? The 4 pillars that the Hawktown was talking about, and definitely narrowing my purview there, right? And trying to get that knowledge out and catching up on what the community is writing. That's definitely number one. But
yeah, so that 4 pillars are VCF, right? Edge, modern apps, and security, right? Are those the 4? Yeah, I think those are the 4.
yes, yeah,
Okay, cool. We got all learned them. VCF,
so,
which is all the standard data center stuff, vSphere, NSX, security, modern applications, Tanzu, whether it's Tanzu or Kubernetes or whatever, and then what do I say? Edge.
edge, yes, yeah,
Edge. Right.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
and
so
definitely
those are
too
the
how
pillars. Yep, that makes sense. Excited about
and
that.
how Tony was talking about well, both of you were talking about vExpert, right? vExpert applications. So I think this is a great way. It's a great way, right? It's towards the end of the year here, but it's a great way. Like if you just document, take some screenshots of the process. If you follow a couple of these days, take some screenshots and right, or create a vlog, right? Record yourself, create a free YouTube channel, something like that. Share the love with the community, and note all those kinds of things, right? Note all those kinds of things into your vExpert application, and I think that is great. And even if you don't make the cut this year, every single year at the halfway mark, they have another application period too, where you can apply and get into the program as well. So I think that is great, right? And running the blogger program, that's also where I want to help, and I would love to help the community there as well. So if you, so I'm looking here, right? Like Jonathan Copeland here. Yes, I understand, right? Yeah, you don't have time to write the blog, but you can reach out to me. You can reach out to other vExperts, and Matt can help you put together a blog, right? And it could be your words. We can use my blog, or we can use blogs.vmware.com. You could be a guest blogger there too, as well. So you don't have to spin up your own WordPress that will be hacked. So yeah, you can, yeah, you come over here, and then there you go. Yeah, right. Just I want to help the community grow. Yeah, that's my number one focus.
All right, so we got learn the pillars, help the community grow, engage with the vExperts, the vExperts Pro, getting more vExperts engaged with this. That makes sense. I know that's been exciting for me to watch us continue to do the community campaigns and being the voice of the community. So Tony, I appreciate you being here week after week, because the reality is when you talk about running a community program, there's vmugs and all the user cons, but it's like, for me, there just has to be a voice of the community that's out talking about this stuff, making sure that everybody understands that we're still here, we're still excited about it, and we're promoting everybody else that's excited about it. Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. It's really interesting to watch all of this as it transforms and continues to grow. And I think that's the cool thing that's actually happening here, is we're seeing a new transformation and a new growth period now. So we get to see all of this new and exciting set of things happen in the community. We have some changes and everything, obviously. We have the same people that have been doing it, and then we have new people coming in going, hey, I work with this Broadcom stuff, what's this VMware stuff about? And so there's a lot of excitement there, and a lot of opportunity to exchange new ideas. And that's one of the great things about being part of the community and having a foot both in the vendor space and in the community space, to be able to say, come, let me show you what's going on. Because not only is this happening in the community space, it's also happening in the partner space. And I've had several of these discussions with both internal partnerships. I work at Dell, obviously. So I've had conversations with people at Dell going, here, let me show you this awesome stuff, as well as other partners going, let me show you this. And it's
Yeah.
just a great opportunity and learning experience.
Yeah, I gotta say that I saw a spreadsheet finally of the number of divisions that Broadcom actually has, right? And we obviously have the four divisions, the four pillars we're talking about: VCF, Edge, security, and modern apps, right? So those are the VMware contributions to Broadcom's divisions. Care to guess how many divisions they actually have? Would you say less than 10, greater than 10, but less than 20, or greater than 20? Where do you think they land?
Go ahead, Tony. You go first.
I'm going to say greater than 20, just based on all the stuff that they had prior to the VMware acquisition.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm going to
exactly.
say less than 10.
Less than 10. Yeah. Well, it's not less than 10. It's not less than 20. It's not less than 30. It's like 31 divisions they have
Wow.
that they run. And they are the ninth largest US tech company on the planet now, right? So, and they got a lot of divisions. They got enterprise software. They have quite a bit. They've got the CA. They've got uh, the security company that they bought. I forget. Not. I forget the name.
Symantec?
Symantec. Yeah,
Yes.
they got Symantec. They got CA. They got mainframe applications. So they got like 5 or 6 divisions just regarding to software. Then they got divisions that are on the edge. So they got edge. Then they got chip divisions, and they got Broadcom chip divisions, the original Broadcom. They have LSI Logic divisions. So it reminds me of Warren Buffett a little bit, right? Where he he buys these companies and he lets them be companies, but Broadcom lets them be divisions, right? And then they're there just to make money, right? And See's Candy that's owned by Berkshire Hathaway, right? Like that's Warren Buffett. Like they don't go down and they don't tweak. They don't tweak See's Candy. See's Candy is just there to make money, right? And they let it be See's Candy, right? They operate it, they get a good profit from it, and that's what they do. And I look at the VMware divisions and they're like, yeah, you guys just go run and you guys go make money, right? And yeah, we have Broadcom, some marketing and some sales and some things, but really it's about the divisions. They're their own little companies and they make their own money. So I've heard that, for instance, the modern apps division, they're like, yeah, we're just going to rename ourselves Tanzu and we're going to be the Tanzu division, and then they're going to go make money selling Tanzu, right? And they're not really going to be VMware Tanzu or vSphere Tanzu. They're just going to be the Tanzu division of Broadcom. So it is interesting to watch this stuff play out. And to your point, Tony, there is a lot of new technologies that we'll be able to talk about in the community ecosystem, right? And we still don't know whether it's VMware community. So we know we're not going to rename VMUG Bug, right? Like it's not going to be the Broadcom user group. It's still going to be the VMware user group. So VMUG will know, but we joked about it with Brad Tompkins and the crew down in Tennessee that we could just rename it all Bug, which is kind of cool in its own right. But nope, still going to be VMware, VMUG, or VM for virtual machine user groups. Like we're not sure yet, but they're figuring out a lot of this stuff out. But I think when you talk 31 divisions, that's an opportunity for VMware and our user groups and our community to continue on doing what we do. And then back to you, Frankie. I know that we're doing the 12 days of Christmas because we want everybody to understand that, we're still here. We're still doing what we've always done. There's a lot of opportunity for us. There's still home labs. There's still VCDX 181. There's still the VCDX program. And, we're just still getting ready to run like we always do every year. And now we've started to work with the event team again and, look at what we're going to do, VMware code, what kind of PowerShell stuff do we need to highlight. All this stuff continues, and I believe that it will, to your point, Tony, be bigger than ever, right? So excited about that. That's what's exciting for me next year, right? Is that we're coming into, hey, we still get to geek out and build machines and build home lab machines and still continue on. And Hawk has said it a couple times, like, look, on-prem data center is still growing at 10% a year. I can make a lot of profit at 10% a year. That's a perfectly good growth rate for me. I know how to set up a structure and set up a company. I don't think we're going to be feeding turtles and doing big Christmas parties, but we're going to keep doing technology to make the data center stronger than ever. So I'm looking forward to that. That's kind of cool. And to Frankie, to your point, there's a lot of bloggers, a lot of community, a lot of the experts, the expert pros that help us, that are still going to continue on. And I got to say, and now I'm just rambling, so I'll be quiet. Frankie, I'll let you talk. I would say that I've been in several meetings where the Broadcom people, it's no longer them and us. We're all just one group now, right? Like my boss has several different Broadcom people reporting. I'm reporting to him. Joan Stone, our CMO, came from VMware. She has several VMware people reporting. But then Jory Martin, who runs the web properties, he's got people from Broadcom reporting to him. The web's all integrated. So there is no them and us anymore. It's just one big group. But I would say that when we're talking about community, everybody goes, yeah, we don't want to mess up the community. Anything you need, yeah, of course we need to do, right? When you need to turn back on the Slack channels, of course, we got to do that. We got to do everything we can to keep the community happy because they respect. I don't want to say fear because that's not true. It's they, and it's not they anymore. It's us. Everybody respects what we've got in the community. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about running the Advantage program over the holiday, even though I don't know how many people actually spend time over their Christmas break doing this stuff. But Frankie, it's not just about the Christmas break, is it?
No, definitely not. Right? It's everything that you're saying, right? Yeah, and keeping the community together. There are other Discord channels, right? That don't represent. Well, no, that do represent the community, right? In their own right. And yes, a lot of people, how you said, a lot of the VX were freaked out as soon as the Slack channel went down, and yes, to the point where somebody spun up their own temporary Slack channel, and it lasted, I think, a day. And he was like, "Oh no, it's," and then yeah, the original came back up. No, but no, I think community's huge. Yeah, community's huge, and definitely with VMUG, one thing I just want to touch on is right. So yes, when people purchase VMUG Advantage, yes, that goes into the community. It helps everybody, but also too, for those that don't know, if you if you want to grow, if you want to give it a shot into public speaking, they do have a call for calls for paper, right, or the call for papers, and VMUG, and you can go talk at the user cons, right, if your paper or your talk is accepted, and VMUG does pay for your flight, for your hotel,
Yeah.
and and it's awesome. It is such a great benefit, right? I was able to fly out to Chicago, and there was another place, so Minnesota, where I met Matt Helsat
Yeah.
out there, and
Yeah.
yeah, Minnesota, nice people, and it's such a great community, right? And then yes, at Explorer, I got to meet Tony with the purple cape. So I was talking to Tony, all right, over at the communities area, and then yeah, you were getting prepped to go talk, and all of a sudden you showed up in the cape. I was like, "Who's this guy in the cape?" I was like, "Oh, it was so cool, so cool." And then plus your session was full too. It was so awesome just to see, right, and just to be part of the community. And yes, right, it's like it's like the NFL, right? You work all week, right? We work all year long to be there, and when you're finally there in person with people, right? You know, whether it be a UserCon or Explore, oh, it's great, right? You just savor those moments. Yeah, love it.
Now you're making me want to go get a piece of pepperoni pizza because, like if the user groups, you always get pizza. That's what we got. Even the code sessions, you always get pizza. And I would say that you're spot on in that when VMUG actually pays for your travel, and maybe even gets you a hotel room for the night, right? Depending, it is a different experience because you're, wow, I got to go do that. I didn't have to beg my company for anything. I just got to go do that, and I was kind of paid to do it, which makes you feel really special. So I got to give him credit for that. I love that. I know we're going to actually put some money into the paying for content next year. I allocated, I think, 25K a quarter, just to get community to end up at user cons doing sessions, right? Because I want to do that. I want the community voice to be there, and that's what me and Frankie and the team have talked about. Is like, we are the community voice. Everybody's got a voice, but we're here to amplify it and make sure that everybody understands that you have a voice and you can do this, and we'll promote you and get you some dollars to go do these things, whether through the VMUG budget. Allocating some dollars over there, that's it, and keeping the community going. So it's fun. I know we now are 5 minutes, 55 minutes of podcasting. So Tony Foster, we got to talk barbecue. So I'll talk to you first. I don't know. It's wintertime over there. Have you done the snow run yet? I haven't seen it on social. I'm waiting.
I haven't done the snow run yet. Everybody's been asking about the snow run. I haven't had any snow really to speak of to do the snow run with. So as soon as we get snow, I'm doing the snow run and we'll get it posted.
All right. All right. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if it's possible to barbecue. I actually did some smoked chicken the other night. Just got the smoker. It was raining, and I just went out there with an umbrella and I turned the smoker on and put some chicken on, and I smoked it. It turned out a little dry. I didn't do a good job. I haven't figured out exactly the smoker yet, right? Like sometimes it's great, and other times, it comes out, and because you got to smoke it for a while, it's like, okay, but sometimes that dries out the meat, right? And this was just chicken fillets, so I just put some fillets on and some Mr. Stubbs dry rub, and then smoked it with some cherry wood pellets, and I got what I got.
Yeah,
It was
I recommend doing a light coat of olive oil on it. That'll help keep your moisture in.
all right. I'll have to try that next time. Yeah. All right. And I assume you don't have any much for barbecue report here.
No, it's been a couple of weeks since I barbecued. I barbecued steaks about 2 weeks ago. That was awesome. I was going to barbecue salmon last night, but it was a little windy and I didn't want to set the neighborhood on fire.
Fair enough. Frankie, we haven't talked barbecue with you yet. Up there in Seattle, I don't know if you're allowed to barbecue. I don't know if you can barbecue with all the wet weather. What's your deal?
Yeah, so here when we moved into this house, we didn't have a patio cover in the back, but yeah, no, so we definitely invested in one, and yes, we have the grill that's out there, but yes, I love the idea of barbecuing, so I have used it a total of maybe 3 times. So
Well, not
what
now,
do
but
you?
is this talking? Are we talking a gas grill?
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, just a regular
Oh,
gas grill.
that
Yeah.
doesn't even
Oh,
count as barbecue. Why don't you just say you put it in your oven and cook some meat in your oven? I don't think that even counts. Right? Like,
I have
We
this outside stove.
yeah, exactly. You don't even have a. Well, speaking of that, Matt Lungeth has not had. He's got a gas grill as well, right? And he had a customer visit today, so he couldn't be out there. But I ordered him off Amazon some wood pellets that'll be delivered on the 23rd. The 2 days before Christmas. So we're gonna smack at him a little bit more that he can take his gas grill and he can like dump some wood pellets in there and light them on fire, and he can finally do a barbecue because he only uses gas as well. Now we got Frankie here as well. Like we're gonna have to talk to him about that, and maybe a Traeger will be delivered to his house as well, but maybe just a couple days later so we can have fun with him. But looking forward to getting him back on the podcast and talking about him stepping away from just being a gas griller. Well, that'll be fun.
Yes. You could always get him the little metal smoking tray where you put the pellets in it, and then you stick it on the grill, and then he could at least smoke with the rest of us.
Yeah, there you go. He could. Actually, I don't think he'll ever listen to this podcast to the end of this show. So I will say that on the 27th, I think they're going to deliver him a Traeger. So then we can finally make a real barbecue man out of him, and he's deserved it. He's done so much for the show for so long that we're finally we don't give gifts out on this. We don't give guest podcast. Like other podcasts give you a nice little trinket when you come on their podcast or give you a shirt, and we're like, yeah, we don't give you anything. We just say, hey, thanks for giving back to the community. Maybe I'll give you a Baskin Robbins ice cream certificate for $3 ice cream, but that's about it. But we felt like Matt's been here for so long because we've gone through a lot of technical guys. Technical guys are busy. They're hard to get. Even Tony Foster, you're busy. You're hard to get. So we appreciate, from a marketing perspective, you coming on the show week after week. And then same with Matt, obviously, have given us so much time of his to come on the show when he's bouncing around, flying, seeing customers. So we thought it was good to get him a Traeger so he can be a real barbecue man as we go into next year. Should be fun. And that's it. We're at an hour, so we're done with the show. We are going to have Michael Roy come visit us at the beginning of next year to talk about Fusion and the M2s and M3s, and they got a lot of really good stuff happening with the new Fusion release. They finally got everything good and running and happy and running Windows and in Fusion, and it's Windows ARM-based Windows, not Windows x86, but there have been a lot of good progress on the Fusion releases, and they got a new one out. I think it came out in early mid-November, so we'll have him come on and talk about what's going on with Fusion. And until then, everybody have a happy holiday. Try not to eat too much food, but eat enough, that you're happy. Franky, thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for building the campaign and keeping the voice of the community alive and doing all the work that you do behind the scenes. Great to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Nice seeing you, Tony.
Good seeing you too, Franky. Happy New Year, everyone.
I think that Franky, you got to hit the end the stream.
All right.